Hello and welcome. My name is Enrique Levine, co-founder and VP of Product at Zintro. Zintro is a global online marketplace that helps connect companies with highly specialized consultants and other expertise providers for projects that range from one-hour phone consults to multi-month on-site engagements and even full-time jobs. Today's webinar, Launching Your Brand in Latin America Through Research and Clinical Studies, will be presented by Abhita Batra, co-founder and managing director of Advanced Biopharma Consulting, LLC. Abhita is an accomplished management executive and entrepreneurial business leader with proven expertise in guiding strategic business direction in growth and early-stage pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and medical device companies. Abhita is the co-founder and managing director of Advanced Biopharma, founded in 2009, a boutique advisory firm that offers business development, marketing, and sales services for the pharmaceutical, biotechnology, and medical device industries. Through ABC, she offers her client companies an established network of decision makers and strategic partners in Asia, LATAM, MENA, Americas, and Europe. Abhita serves as Vice President of Business Development and Marketing at AdMac Group of Companies, where she manages a product portfolio encompassing 150 generics, including antibiotics and oncology drugs. She has also successfully raising $10 million in capital and has set up an oncology manufacturing facility in 2012, offering 26 generic oncology products. She's currently working on her global MBA at UCLA Anderson and NUS, and has a master's in biotechnology with specialization in pharmaceutical sciences from the University of Pennsylvania. If you would like to ask Abhita any specific questions throughout the webinar, feel free to use the questions section of your GoToWebinar control panel. Just click on the little orange arrow on the top right corner of your screen. You'll see a questions section. Feel free to use it at any time. Abhita will be responding to these questions at the end of the presentation, so stay tuned. Without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Abhita Batra.
Thank you, Enrique. I would like to welcome you all. A very good morning and a warm welcome from sunny California. In today's world, every company strives to make a difference through a new product or an innovative technology. Another way is by transcending the language, cultural, and regional barriers and launching yourself in a new market. I want to introduce you all to my boutique advisory firm, Advanced Biopharma Consulting, that specializes in new ideas and launching new technologies and products internationally. We offer management consulting and business development expertise to early-stage companies and design their strategic market entry in various countries. We value our clients and understand their goals. Our network is not only limited to North and South America, we go beyond Pacific and Atlantic to Southeast Asia, Europe, and Middle East. The regional, language, and cultural barriers for most of the companies are an advantage to our clients. Since our inception, we've only worked with executives and decision makers of the companies. We bring highly experienced professionals, MBAs from Ivy Leagues with decades of experience. We specialize in global market penetration strategies, long-term supply and distribution contracts, fundraising for R&D molecules, in-licensing, out-licensing, early licensing, and tie-ups. We have worked with over 20 companies and are currently representing a publicly traded company in US, a Frost & Sullivan awardee in Europe, and a Latin American CRO. In addition to that, we are representing a billion-dollar Asian company for their collaborations in Europe. We can share our client portfolio on request. Welcome to our first ever webinar. We are glad to introduce our webinar series by discussing and educating today's companies in pharma, biotech, and medical device space about the unexplored territory of Latin America. We start with the most relevant topic that researchers strive to make a success in, clinical trials. Let's go global now and talk about clinical trials in Latin America, which is our strongest suite. A very relevant question is clinical research even necessary? The answer is yes. It helps the researcher prove the clinical indication of a drug and medical device. We are able to prove the clinical relevance in humans and animals and establish safety, toxicity, and efficacy in various demographics. This eventually converts the leads to approved products that can finally be used in human population. Let's talk about the hidden continent, Latin America, which has 21 countries, 569 million people. The healthcare in the region has improved and many multinational companies are conducting the clinical trials for decades. There are highly experienced investigators with GCP training. The regulatory framework is very strong. Most importantly, the disease profiles and therapeutic standards resemble to those of US and Europe. In addition to that, the advantage of inclusion of Latin America is an advantage for most of the companies enrolling patients for diseases with seasonal behavior. Patient enrollment can be done all year round because of the opposite seasons in Northern Hemisphere. According to the recent publication in Nature, the research strength of Argentina is the highest in South America, considering the collaboration and excellence of research. In the region, clinical research costs are usually 15 to 20% below the row. Regulatory enforcement bodies, quality investigators, ethics committee, ensuring patient safety and respect for their rights, proactive GCP policy development, and large research naive populations have been cited as contributing factors to the explosive growth of clinical trial management in the region. If we want to do business in Latin American market, the clinical trials and registration process needs to resonate with the regulatory needs of the market. ANMAT, INVISA, INVIMA, to name a few, are the regulatory bodies in Latin America. The slide highlights how the regulatory framework has changed from the year 2005 to 2010 and 11. The only thing considered earlier was if the document is GCP compliant. The definition of GCP was quite broad and diverse at the time. In the recent years, there has been a transition and clinical trial process is very well laid out. As highlighted, there are defined submission requirements, consent forms, defined timelines, and inspections of the clinical sites. Since 2011, the Ethical Committee clearly defined the composition, transparency, and activities. Besides, the confidentiality of the process is maintained more than ever. The table gives an overview of regulations and requirements regarding signatures on the informed consent form. A witness independent of the investigator and his team needs to be present during the informed consent process with the potential participant in the study. In some special social, economic, political situations when they are enrolling the patient, such witness will sign ICF. A statement is released that any costs related to the study are covered and the subject will not cover any cost of procedures or material related to his participation in the study. If the subjects are unable to give the consent, their legal representative can do so on their behalf. In Argentina, we also have specific consent procedures for acute situations that require immediate medical intervention. The confidentiality section must comply with the requirements of the personal data protection national law in Argentina and Chile. Enrique, can we have the first poll question?
Yes, definitely, Abhita. So guys, please take a second to respond to this question. So we have a question, have you conducted clinical trials in Latin America or Argentina before? We're going to give a couple of seconds for our attendees to respond. Okay, I think we can close And let me share the results just so you guys can have a look. 60% of our attendees have not conducted clinical trials in Latin America and Argentina, and 40% have. Okay, let me hide that. Back to you.
Okay. Here we will discuss the case study of Argentina. Of all the 21 countries in Latin America, which has 41 million inhabitants, where the literacy level is 96%. Did you know ANMAT, the National Regulatory Authority, is a pioneer regarding the regulations in Latin America, not only for clinical trials, but also for registration and reference products. It was certified in 2009 by PAHO, WHO, as the first regional regulatory authority of reference for medicines. It is a member of the Global Coalition for Regulatory Science Research. Enrique, can we have the second poll question?
Definitely, Abhita. So our second question is, if you have a new trial coming up, would you be comfortable bringing the trials to Latin America or Argentina? Let's give it a couple of seconds for our audience to respond. Okay, I think we can close the poll, and let's share it with our audience. So basically 79% would.
Okay, great. That's positive. Okay, so why Argentina? Because of its long tradition of investigators of excellence, and it has consolidated and updated regulatory framework in compliance with international guidelines. The other factors are, there's a large patient pool in public hospitals. There's a close and reliable patient-doctor relationships leading to good retention rates. Cultural and social characteristics are similar to some in European countries. The totality of its population is covered by health social services. There is a close and reliable patient-doctor relationship that makes an accelerated patient recruitment available. The pharmaceutical companies are a mix between international and national laboratories. Many of the local laboratories develop their own products and technologies. The state of regulatory affairs allows our country to develop clinical trials under international standards. Argentina has a lot of qualified research professionals who are trained and experienced. Enrique, can we have the third poll question?
Absolutely, Abhita. So our third question is, what are your two main concerns when deciding to bring clinical trials to Latin America or Argentina? And we have the following options: subjection protection and patient recruitment, GCP compliance and data quality, investigator oversight of the trial, timelines of the regulatory submission process, and clinical trial costs. I'm going to give a couple of seconds to get some answers. It seems like we have a very active audience today. I'm glad. I think we can close the poll now. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty evenly distributed with investigator oversight of the trial. Doesn't seem to be a concern. We basically have on top with 36% timelines of regulatory submission process, and on second place with 29% we have GCP compliance and data quality.
Okay, so seems like we're going to address that pretty soon. Okay, discussing the current landscape of clinical trials, most prevalent disease profile in Argentina is oncology, followed by diabetes, cardiovascular, infectology, and CNS disorders. In most of the clinical trial phases, most of the candidates are in phase 3 studies, accounting to 64% of the leads. The slide shows FDA inspections that have held in Argentina between 2008 and 2013. A total of 84 inspections took place, and 30% of them were related to bioresearch, monitoring, and drug quality assurance. On the pie chart on the right, you can see the inspection outcomes. OAI stands for Official Action Indicated. This is a negative outcome. It means that the critical findings oblige the regulatory agency to take action. For example, if at a clinical site, FDA finds that the data was incorrectly captured, there are many major deviations and serious breaches to safety or compliance with GCP. They may resolve the data from the site. NAI stands for No Action Indicated. This is a 10 on 10. It is equivalent to you're doing an excellent job, keep it up. VAI stands for Voluntary Action Indicated. This means there is a room for improvement, but not on clinical aspects. Therefore, suggestions are made by a regulatory agency and an implementation plan is developed and executed at the site sponsor level. As you can see, overall results look very good. 97.6% of inspections held by FDA in Argentina had favorable outcomes. Looking more closely now on FDA inspections related to bioresearch monitoring and drug QA, the outcomes are even better. All the inspections had favorable outcomes. There were no OAI at all. And all the majority of inspections resulted in NAI. An interesting fact is that FDA usually inspects the clinical trial sites once the clinical trial is finalized, because they focus on the data that was submitted and wants to ensure that it was collected in compliance with GCP regulations and the protocol, and everything is accurate. Now taking a look at ANMAT here. ANMAT is the authority of Argentina. It's a Ministry of Health. We can see that from 1997 to 2011, there were in total 710 inspections that took place regarding the clinical trials only. Out of these, 96% had positive outcome and only 4% have indicated official action that was required. A difference between FDA and ANMAT inspections is that ANMAT performs inspections while the trial is ongoing. This is so because the focus of the agency is to verify the compliance to regulations and GCP, but mostly to proactively watch out for the rights and safety of the subjects here. The trial submission process in Argentina is simple and clearly defined in our regulations. Minimum documents needed are insurance policy, protocol, informed consent form, and investigator brochure. All of these documents must be translated in Spanish, except for the investigator brochure. The ICF must be customized to our local regulations, local language, and must be approved by DNPDP. National Directorate of Protection of Personal Data, which focuses mostly on the aspect of confidentiality and data protection. Once the documents are ready, they are submitted to IEC, International Ethics Committee. IEC, International Institutional Ethics Committee in Argentina is equivalent to IRB in US, which usually requests some additional document clearly stated in their SOPs. For example, template of the investigator agreement. Most of the IEC certified in the country meet at least once a month, usually every 2 weeks. With the first site's IEC approval, some additional documents stated in our regulations, the electronic submission can be made to ANMAT, which is the Ministry of Health, If everything goes well and no objections are made, approval is expected within 3 to 4 months. Additional sites can be entered after the approval is ready and are approved fast-track between 2 to 4 weeks later. Depending on the geographical location of the sites, some additional regulatory submissions need to be put into place, but this can be done in parallel with the Ministry of Health submission in order to avoid the delays. Regarding oncology, which is one of the country's major area of clinical research, you can see some local data on the slide. This is the epidemiological landscape of cancer in Argentina. The incidence is medium to high compared to low. The most significant challenge we face are breast cancer, prostate cancer, colorectal cancer, and lung cancer. These are also the main diseases for which multinational companies bring their clinical trials to Argentina. There is a wealth of experience in clinical trials in these areas, and also many key opinion leaders in oncology who also play a very active role not only in research but also within international medical associations and academia projects. Regarding infectious diseases and more specifically HIV, you can see in the slide some recent news about a local trial, Gardale study, published in the Lancet in 2014 April, exploring the dual therapy versus triple therapy in patients, in adult patients with HIV infection. They investigated whether dual therapy with and ritonavir plus lamivudine was non-inferior to the standard triple therapy, and the study concluded that dual therapy regimen warrants further clinical research and consideration as a potential therapeutic option for antiretroviral naive patients, since in both the groups the viral load response was, to put it simply, the same. And of course, this had a huge impact on treatment costs, patient compliance, toxicity, generation of viral resistance, among others. Did you know that Dr. Can, the lead investigator of the trials, is one of the pioneers of research in Argentina and a very world-renowned key opinion leader? Can is the head of Unit of Infectious Diseases Hospital, Juan Fernandez, and professor at University of Buenos Aires. He was a part of international working group and conferences of HIV/AIDS since 1989. He was the president of International AIDS Society from 2006 to 2008. He is a former member of Governing Council of International AIDS Society and former board member of International Society of Infectious Diseases. On several occasions, he was an advisor to American Health Organization (PAHO) and World Health Organization (WHO) and joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS. Some more interesting questions. Did you know that this study with 217 patients was performed in 19 centers, mostly located in Argentina, Peru, Spain, and Mexico? Did you know that the study was funded by AbbVie? Another great example now on preclinical aspect of research in Argentina. This is Dr. Gabriel Rabinovich and his team. He is the editor of dozen scientific journals and visiting professor at Harvard, Maryland, and Paris. Also a world-renowned investigator in the fields of immunology, cancer, and most specifically role of galectin. Shortly after starting his thesis, he identified, purified, and characterized a protein called galectin, GAL1, which proved to be a sought-master key of cancer and autoimmune diseases. In the first case, by preventing the action of T lymphocytes which could destroy the tumors, and in the second, by stopping the immune system attack against the body. His investigators were recently on the cover of Cell. He discovered a mechanism by which tumors escape anti-VEGF therapies and how this could be overcome. Well, we come to a very important question here. How do you choose the right partner for the management of clinical trials? Recruitment in clinical trials is always a challenge. First step, think about bringing your trials to Latin America. Explore the feasibility of your project in the region with a local vendor who is experienced through several phases of clinical trials and is aware of the challenges, healthcare system, investigator network, local practices, and the regulatory and import processes. Although there are well-established sites and investigators in the therapeutic areas mentioned before, there is a space and willingness to grow outside of these areas. Ophthalmology, gynecology, dermatology are the areas capturing more interest in the region. Set a time for a face-to-face meeting and be sure to address all your fears and concerns right on when you meet the vendor. Being able to discuss openly about any issues or concerns will help you develop a trust with your CRO, which is crucial for a successful outcome. It is important to be informed that key opinion leaders in the region are present there and you need to be in touch with them. Explore the potential partnership with either the CRO or through it. There are several grant opportunities for research and development that can be made available through these partnerships. Proactively establish and maintain the regular communication between the regulatory authorities and sponsors at the investigational sites. To ensure success in clinical trials, choosing the right partner is essential. We have partnered with R&D, operated under the leadership of Mr. Pablo, who has been helping companies to enter in Latin America through the launch of successful clinical trials for 2 decades. How do they ensure the success in clinical trials? We'll discuss about that in next few slides. I would like to invite Laura. Laura, please take over from here and help our audience understand that.
Hi, Abhita. Thank you. I will briefly introduce you to Research and Development CRO. Research and Development is the only national CRO in the market with more than 20 years of continuity. This is a lot to say within the current landscape where several multinational companies, both pharmaceutical companies and multinational CROs, have already established their offices in Latin America. A fact to bear in mind and place us in context is that our first MOH regulation about clinical trials was published in 1997. And as Abhita mentioned before, Argentina was a pioneer in the region. Research and Development CRO has been in the market since the very beginning. Our leadership is conducted by Dr. Pablo Ljubosic, who is our CEO since 2008. He is a Bachelor in Science and Master in Business Administration and has broad experience in clinical trials under multiple roles. Dr. Santiago Ljubosic is a medical doctor. He is now VP at Research and Development CRO and was also a co-founder with Pablo. A great part of his career took place within the pharmaceutical industry as medical director, head of clinical research, and lastly as regional medical director at SmithKline China. Next slide, please. Why is research and development your best partner? Research and Development CRO has unique capabilities to offer. We have full-scope clinical research services ranging from phases 1 to 4, and also including product and devices registration. We have broad therapeutic experience, which we shall review a little bit forward, a low turnover of staff, which accounts for our seniority level research professionals, a huge network of experienced investigators and sites, local regulatory know-how and strategic planning, lower costs, as Abhita already highlighted before in her presentation. Our broad knowledge about the medical environment, key opinion leaders, and our relationship with sites and investigators have been built through more than 20 years of conducting seriously and professionally clinical trials in the region. Our expertise in regulations, local customs and culture, procedures, and know-how allow us to deliver quality data in compliance with GCP in a cost-effective, flexible manner. Besides, you can avoid the red tape of working with large CROs, but still go global through R&D and our CRO consortium partners. I will introduce the consortium members in a while. Let's take a look now at quality in Argentina and show you something about the performance of research and development in other sponsor audits. These are the results of our performance. The last audit was in 2013, and they were performed both at research and development facilities and research sites. As you can see, at the CRO, we had only 8 major findings among 63 findings, which is 12%. At investigator sites, which is the graph you can see on your right, you can see that site performance was good, and from a total of 205 findings across 14 audits, most of them were minor findings. Next, please. The areas of expertise of the CRO match with the greatest areas of research being conducted in the country. Oncology is our major strength. We have worked in several very innovative approaches, most recently with active immunotherapies, or also known as cancer vaccines. Ophthalmology is an area in which we are strong and also keep growing. We are currently working in large multinational trials in uveitis. We are looking forward to expand to new therapeutic areas and also willing to bring more early phase trials and trials with medical devices to Argentina. These are not very common, but Argentina has full capabilities to perform these with excellence. You can see also on the graph that we have experience in pulmonary disease, in metabolic diseases, and also we are very strong in cardiovascular disease. Next, please. On this slide, you can see some of our clients. Amongst them, you can find big pharmaceutical companies, smaller biotech companies, and also leader national pharmaceutical companies who have their own innovative pipelines. And as you can see, we can adapt to multiple company sizes, cultures, and styles. Our focus is to provide customized, personalized services and not a one-size-fits-all solution. Next, please. These are our consortium members. If you wish to take your study to the global level, but keep it customized, personalized, and in an adaptable approach, we can offer the services through R&D and the consortium. It is constituted by several renowned CROs. They all have experienced staff and in-depth local expertise. We have Cleandatrix covering United States and Canada, Cleanactis serving for Asia Pacific clients, Documets supporting trials in Central Eastern Europe, Dot International covering Japan, OnQ for African sites, Venn Life Science in European clinical sites, and Research and Development covering Central and South America from our headquarters here in Argentina. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Abhita. We are going to move to the question section. If you guys have any questions, feel free to use the question section of your webinar, of your GoToWebinar platform. We have one question from Felix. What's the one thing we can do right away to move towards consulting in Costa Rica, for example?
Felix, please get in touch with me. I would ensure that you are accustomed with the regulatory needs. We need to put together and understand firstly, are you looking at generic molecules? Are you looking at R&D molecules? Even in R&D, are you looking at orphan molecules? Or are you looking at a few other categories which can fast-track the process? So please get in touch with me and I'll explain you the whole process. If the molecules are good enough, the process can be shortened and the product could be registered in few months. It could, otherwise, if it's a generic product, it may take a while, up to a year. So please get in touch with me, and I'll ensure that you're in touch with the right distributors, and if need, we can put you in touch with the right CRO and the partner for the launch of clinical trials.
Thank you very much, Abhita. I think we don't have any other pending questions. So I would like to tell everyone to feel free to contact Abhita directly. You can see her contact information on screen right now, or by going to her Zintro profile. Abhita, on behalf of Zintro and our over 170,000 members, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Guys, this closes today's presentation. I wish you all a very nice day.
Thank you, Enrique, for allowing us to impart the knowledge and expertise that we have to a great audience. I would like to request you if you can, put forward the poll question number 4 before everyone leaves.
Absolutely. So we're going to put the last poll question at this time. Veronica asks if we'll be sharing the presentation. The answer would be yes. In the following week, you will receive an email with the link to the recording of the presentation. I will also be available in our blog, blog.zintro.com/webinars. So feel free to reach out to us if you need any help with that. Okay, so I think we can close the poll question. Okay, and basically, what else would you like to learn about Latin America, Argentina, and Future Webinar Series? And 36% responded about research and cooperative groups in Latin America, and another 36% responded funding opportunities for research and development. And 27% responded regulations for clinical trials. So thank you very much, everyone. This closes today's presentation. Have a great day.
Thank you all.